Welcome to another chilling episode from the Criminal Department, where we uncover the most harrowing and sinister cases from around the world. Today, we delve into the dark path of Paul Durousseau, a man whose name became synonymous with terror. A predator hiding in plain sight, Durousseau preyed on innocent women, leaving a trail of death and fear in his wake. Join us as we explore the twisted mind and actions of Paul Durousseau, a serial killer whose crimes shocked communities and left a lasting impact on criminal history. Paul Durousseau was born on August 11, 1970, in Beaumont, Texas. His early life was marked by instability and hardship. Raised in a dysfunctional family, Durousseau experienced neglect and abuse, both physical and emotional, which left deep scars on his psyche. His childhood was spent in poverty, with frequent moves and a lack of a stable home environment. These early experiences would play a significant role in shaping his troubled personality. From a young age, Durousseau exhibited signs of behavioral problems. He was often involved in fights at school and had difficulty forming healthy relationships with his peers. Teachers described him as a troubled child who struggled to follow rules and respect authority. As he grew older, his behavior became increasingly erratic and aggressive, setting the stage for a lifetime of criminal activity. In 1991, at the age of 21, Paul Durousseau joined the U.S. Army, hoping to find structure and stability. However, his military career was marked by disciplinary issues and a lack of direction. He was stationed in Germany, where he met his future wife, a German woman named Natoka. The couple married in 1995 and had 2 children together. Despite the appearance of a normal family life, Durousseau's dark tendencies continued to simmer beneath the surface. While in the army, Durousseau was repeatedly reprimanded for misconduct, including charges of insubordination and theft. In 1996, he was honorably discharged under a general discharge for his poor conduct. After leaving the military, Durousseau and his family moved to Jacksonville, Florida, where he struggled to hold down a job. His inability to maintain stable employment put a strain on his marriage, leading to frequent arguments and a growing sense of frustration. Durousseau's criminal behavior began to escalate after his discharge from the army. In the late 1990s, he was arrested multiple times for various offenses, including theft, burglary, and assault. His criminal record began to grow, but none of his early crimes hinted at the violent future that awaited. In 1997, Durousseau took a job as a taxi driver in Jacksonville, which gave him access to numerous vulnerable individuals, particularly women. It was during this time that he began to develop his modus operandi, using his position as a driver to lure victims into his car, under the pretense of offering them a ride. Once inside, Durousseau would use his charm and seemingly trustworthy demeanor to put his victims at ease, only to later overpower and assault them. Paul Durousseau's first known victim was 26-year-old Teresa Mack, whose body was found in her Jacksonville apartment in December 1997. She had been strangled with a cord, and there were signs of sexual assault. The brutality of the crime shocked the community, but there were no immediate suspects. The case went cold, and the killer remained at large. In early 1999, Durousseau was arrested and charged with armed robbery and sexual assault after attacking a woman he had picked up in his taxi. Although he was sentenced to prison, he served only a few years before being released on parole in 2003. Upon his release, Durousseau returned to Jacksonville and resumed his pattern of predatory behavior. Between 2003 and 2004, Paul Durousseau's killing spree escalated. He was linked to the murders of at least 6 women in the Jacksonville area, all of whom were found strangled in their homes. The victims shared common characteristics. They were young, African American, and lived in neighborhoods frequented by Durousseau. Investigators noted the similarities in the cases. But the elusive killer remained a step ahead. One of his victims, 19-year-old Nicole L. Williams, was found dead in her apartment in August 2003. She had been strangled with a cord, and there were no signs of forced entry, suggesting she knew her attacker. Her murder bore striking similarities to that of Teresa Mack, leading detectives to suspect a serial killer was on the loose. Durousseau's next known victim was Nakesha Hodge, a 21-year-old mother found dead in her apartment in September 2003. Like the other victims, she had been strangled and sexually assaulted. The murder of Nakesha Hodge sent shockwaves through the community, intensifying the fear that had already begun to spread among residents. The Jacksonville Police Department, under increasing pressure to solve the string of murders, formed a task force to investigate the killings. Detectives began looking for connections between the victims and potential suspects. Durousseau's name came up during their investigation due to his criminal history and his known association with some of the victims. A key break in the case came when investigators discovered that Durousseau's DNA matched samples found at multiple crime scenes. Armed with this evidence, police began surveillance on Durousseau, hoping to catch him in the act or gather additional evidence. In June 2004, Durousseau was arrested on charges unrelated to the murders, but this arrest gave detectives the opportunity they needed to confront him with the DNA evidence. During his interrogation, Paul Durousseau initially denied any involvement in the murders. However, as detectives presented the mounting evidence against him, including DNA matches and witness statements, Durousseau's demeanor changed. He eventually confessed to several of the murders, providing chilling details about how he lured his victims, gained their trust, and ultimately took their lives. His confession revealed the depth of his depravity. Durousseau admitted to stalking his victims, often observing them for days before making his move. He described the thrill he felt during the killings and the sense of power it gave him. His lack of remorse and cold, calculated manner left detectives shaken. Paul Durousseau's trial began in 2007, drawing widespread media attention. The prosecution presented overwhelming evidence, including DNA, witness testimony, and Durousseau's own confession. The families of the victims filled the courtroom, seeking justice for their loved ones. The defense attempted to argue that Durousseau's confessions were coerced and that the DNA evidence was inconclusive. However, the jury was not convinced. After a brief deliberation, Paul Durousseau was found guilty of multiple counts of first-degree murder. He was sentenced to death, a verdict that brought a sense of closure to the victims' families. Since his conviction, Paul Durousseau has been housed on death row at the Florida State Prison. His appeals have been repeatedly denied, and he remains isolated from the general prison population. Reports indicate that Durousseau spends his days reading, writing, and maintaining a low profile. Despite his conviction, he continues to claim innocence, insisting that his confessions were the result of police pressure. Durousseau's case has become a subject of study for criminologists and psychologists who seek to understand the mind of a serial killer. His ability to blend into society, despite his violent tendencies, raises questions about how such individuals can go undetected for so long. His case also highlights the importance of thorough investigations and the role of forensic evidence in solving complex crimes. The impact of Paul Durousseau's crimes extends far beyond the immediate families of his victims. His actions instilled fear and mistrust within the Jacksonville community, particularly among women who felt unsafe in their own homes. The case also brought attention to the issue of violence against women and the need for better support systems for victims of domestic abuse and assault. In the wake of the murders, local organizations and law enforcement agencies implemented programs aimed at increasing awareness of personal safety and improving communication between the police and the community. The case served as a catalyst for change, prompting discussions about the prevention of violence and the importance of community vigilance. Paul Durousseau's story is a grim reminder of the darkness that can reside within individuals, and the importance of remaining vigilant in protecting our communities. His ability to evade detection for so long highlights the challenges faced by law enforcement in tracking down serial offenders. It also underscores the importance of forensic science in modern criminal investigations. The case has sparked debates about the death penalty, mental health issues, and the rehabilitation of violent offenders. While some view Durousseau's death sentence as a necessary measure to ensure public safety, others argue for a deeper understanding of the psychological factors that drive individuals to commit such heinous acts. The tale of Paul Durousseau is one of tragedy, loss, and the enduring resilience of those affected by his actions.